the nerdy and practical mixed voice video.
So hello from the other side.
In our larynx, we've got the TA muscle. The TA muscle exists within and runs the entire length of the vocal cord. It's essentially the pitch changer for our lower or chest voice notes. We've also got the CT muscle. The CT muscle utilized when we are in our head voice or falsetto. The CT muscle, located on the exterior of the larynx, when engaged, causes a tilting or rocking of the thyroid cartilage, stretching the vocal cords, which is what represents that lighter, higher pitch. See the lengthening? When we train our TA muscles and our CT muscles to work together in different coordinations, specifically ones where TA dominance is used more in areas where typically CT dominance would be present in our voices, we are creating mixed voice postures. Mixed voice is literally a mix of different muscle coordinations that allow us to use different types of muscles in different ways. And I realize you could poke holes all over the analogy I'm about to share, but it's been really helpful for me as I've learned to embrace different types of sensations associated with mixed voice. If you've ever done any sort of lower body weightlifting, think about a squat versus a deadlift. Both movements are moving weight upwards. The squat, you're using your legs, your upper legs, but you're still using other support muscles. With a deadlift, you've got much more emphasis on your glutes and your lower back, but you're still using other support muscles. Now, with these big muscle groups in your legs and back, it's easy to visualize how you can put emphases on different muscle groups and blend the coordinations of a squat and a deadlift. And depending on what you're going for and what you'd like to emphasize, you will shift your focus to different parts of your body to direct that energy in a way that gets you a specific result. This takes practice, this takes mindfulness, and this takes coordination in order to do these exercises properly without injuring yourself and to get the most beneficial results. Very similar with our voice, and it's very similar when learning how to optimize your mixed voice. Now for the stupid noises that make all this talk relatable and practical. When you flip, you're embracing your vocal break. That's TA coordination and CT coordination with a hard line in between. The goal is to treat it less like two separate worlds, less like a switch, and more like a knob or a fader. In other words, a blend or mix. That's the first step. You mix the two coordinations together. Then you think about these two words, placement and pressure. These are the two words that lead to finding the balances and coordinations necessary to travel between different levels of dominance within these two primary coordinations that your voice box has. Placement. I can choose to direct the resonating sound coming out of my face in different ways. I can make it go straight out my mouth, which would be considered a very forward placement. That is a TA, chesty, reinforced, belted forward note. And I feel it on the back of my teeth. I could take that same range, that same TA chest voice muscular coordination, and I could direct it back so that I experience it further back. I'm directing that through my nasopharynx, through my nasal cavity. I can do the same thing in head voice or with a CT muscle coordination. Now, when you hear me bring that resonance back in CT, you hear a little bit of fry happening. Fry is loose vocal cord engagement. It's where they cease to purely phonate and they create a bit of a creaky sound. Let's talk a little bit about fry. Fry, with practice, can really be invoked anywhere in your range, but there are several areas where it can creep up on you unintentionally, which is actually very useful for developing your mixed voice, among other things like screaming, grit, other things like that. Fry can show up when you go as low as possible and your vocal cords kind of start doing this. Fry. It can also show up when you are approaching your vocal break from either up or down. And leaning into fry can be fun. All sorts of fun things. What experimenting with fry in these ways, going low, going head voice down until you find your break and you find the associated fry with it, and chest voice up. What this is allowing you to do, allowing you to interact with your placement and pressure together. As I feel out different parts of my range, different transitions between TA engagement and CT engagement, and fry comes into play, I can lean in with different amounts of pressure to expose different balances between the use of TA coordination and the use of CT coordination. This is where the dying cat or the creaky cat comes in so useful. It's a particular coordination and a particular kind of breath pressure experiment that allows you to feel out a balance that is conducive to using your TA muscles and your CT muscles together over very specific parts of your range. As I learn what it feels like to fry and create great closure over these particular coordinations, I start understanding these balances between TA and CT. In other words, I'm able to understand how support fits into the equation. Let's fry a little bit. Nasal it up. Ooh, cool. Now, what's super exciting about all this is you start to understand how interconnected all these different vocal techniques that I talk about all the time are when you start really experimenting with these sorts of things. Fry, breath pressure, support, placement, resonance. They all lead you to so many wonderful places. Now, it's one thing to hear about it. It's another thing to talk about it. It's a whole other thing to practice it and to really introspect with all these balances and sensations. If you'd like help doing that, if you'd like specific exercises that will unlock all of these things in your voice and show you how to progress with them, start by clicking the link below in the pinned comment or video description and joining my free 3-video course called Free Your Voice. I will give you the foundation you need there. Then, eventually, you'll receive an invitation to my course, Discover Your Voice, where I give you an entire roadmap for exploring these sensations and balances and growing them in your own voice. If you're serious about developing your mixed voice, check out that free course. So I'm going to cycle through some different balances and coordinations and call things out as I do it. Please experiment along with me and ask questions in the comments as you see me doing certain things and you're comparing it to what you're doing. I'm forward and I'm chesty. T-A. I'm back. And C-T. Head voice. Airy falsetto. Still back. Forward. forward. I'm experiencing the placement forward, back, forward, belty, back, forward, back, blending in TA, blending my placements, adjusting it, raising and lowering the height of my larynx to help me place the sound differently, experiencing a different amount of nasality dynamically. Do the same thing in head voice, head voice, head voice. Varying my placement in chest voice and head voice, varying my placement with TA muscle coordinations and CT muscle coordinations. Now I'm going to experiment with pressure, breath pressure in various parts as I'm moving my resonances around. And if I get fry, I'm going to allow my voice to lean into it so that I can experience the breath pressure and balances that may occur. In other words, I'm going to feel out using placement, pressure, and the resulting weirdnesses, fry, vocal break, sorts of things that happen. I'm going to embrace all these things. That's a very back fried, tortured, dying cat sound. I'm going to add a little bit more pressure, see if I can get better closure. And I'm going to bring my resonance a little bit forward. It's opening things up a little bit. Ooh, that's feeling chestier. Ooh, that actually means what's happening is that there's a greater TA dominance in an area that would normally be considered CT dominance in my range. Yeah. The fullness of that is being provided by experimenting with my pressure and my placement and using fry as sort of a gauge to, well, how much more pressure? How can I adjust my placement? And adjusting these things, just like when you're lifting weights, you adjust, forward, back. Am I using my legs? Am I using my back? Am I using, whatever. It's the same kind of thing. Ooh, now, as I went down to that note, it fried a little bit. I approached a place where my body couldn't decide which set of muscles it wanted to use, the TA or the CT. Which ones are going to be dominant? I've got to train myself to choose dynamically. Yeah! There. Yeah! No break. And they're both very TA or chesty supported. That's not a pulled chest sound. That's just a very supported mix. Whoa! Yeah! Now, where does compression come into this? Compression is a form of pressure. When I learn how to increase the pressure by adding more support and holding back air with the structures above my larynx, cartilage, false chords, I'm literally creating more pressure above where those muscle coordinations are happening. It's generally much easier to add compression when you've got the reinforcement of the TA muscles. Which is why when you add compression in a CT coordination, typically what you're doing, I'm constricting to add that pressure. Typically what you're doing is adding more TA reinforcement in concert with the compression happening. That compression is often heard as a nice, juicy distortion. Not to be confused with fry. You can use those together as well. Well supported and placed mixed voice note. Add a little compression. Place it differently to get different tones. Add fry. I'm chesty with some fry. I'm heady with some fry. I'm blendy with some compression and fry. I'm compressing, and I'm adding fry and compression over different parts of my range. CT, full CT, pull chest, too much TA. Oh! Blend with compression and a little bit of fry. Yeah! Mostly compression there. Let's put a little more fry in there. Yeah! Compressed fry mix. Yeah! Brought on by, if you've seen my other vocal videos, you know, leaning into your vocal break. This is where it all comes together. And as we experiment with placement, we can get some wonderfully diverse sounds. This is a well-supported mixed voice down to chest. Notice there was no grit there at all. Whoa! Yeah! And I can go experimenting with pressure and placement at the same time to go in and out of different levels of intensity. This is what you hear Jeff Buckley do so well. La, la, la. La, 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 la. Yeah. Low CT, 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 chest, mix, ahead. Now, I'm purposely leaving in all the warts so you can hear some of the different transitions that are happening. Now it's your turn. Throw some artists in the comments and let's discuss their mixed voice qualities, further the learning and exploration process for all. Again, if you would like help fully exploring and unlocking the possibilities with your own voice when it comes to placement, pressure, and the use of support in the development of your mixed voice, start by clicking the link below in the pinned comment or video description and completing my free course. Once you're done with that, eventually you'll receive an invitation to my course, Discover Your Voice, where I give you an entire roadmap of exercises and mindsets to fully develop your mixed voice, among many other things. We'll see you for more.